The calm before the storm. The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly before Captain Sarah Chen as she stood on the observation deck of the TSS Resilient. The sleek starship, humanity's pride and joy, glided silently through the cosmic void, its presence masked by cutting-edge stealth technology. To the untrained eye, or even the most advanced alien sensors, the Resilient was nothing more than a passing shadow, a fleeting anomaly easily dismissed as cosmic background noise. Captain Chen's dark eyes reflected the distant stars as she contemplated the weight of her mission. For years, humanity had been preparing in secret, building up its defenses and honing its technological edge. The scars of the last conflict with the Galactic Council still ran deep, a constant reminder of the price of complacency. "Captain," a voice crackled through her earpiece, "we're receiving the latest intelligence report from Central Command." Chen tapped her communicator. "Patch it through to my personal terminal, Lieutenant. I'll review it in my quarters." As she made her way through the ship's corridors, Chen couldn't help but marvel at the quiet efficiency of her crew. Each member moved with purpose, their actions a testament to years of rigorous training and unwavering dedication. They were the best humanity had to offer, handpicked from every corner of Earth and its colonies. In her quarters, Chen activated her holographic display and began sifting through the report. The data painted a troubling picture. The Galactic Council, once humbled by humanity's unexpected resistance, had grown complacent and arrogant over the years. They viewed Earth and its colonies as a footnote in galactic history, a curiosity that had long since faded into irrelevance. "Fools," Chen muttered, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "They've forgotten the lessons of the past." The report detailed increased Council activity along the borders of human space. Probe ships and scout vessels had been pushing deeper into neutral zones, testing the waters and searching for signs of human defenses. So far, they had found nothing. Exactly as humanity had planned. A knock at her door interrupted Chen's musings. "Enter," she called out. Dr. Aiden Frost, the ship's chief scientist, stepped into the room. His unruly mop of silver hair and perpetually rumpled lab coat belied the brilliant mind beneath. "Captain, I've got something you need to see," he said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Chen gestured to the empty chair across from her. "What have you got for me, Aiden?" Frost sat down and pulled out a small device, no larger than a coin. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed it into the air where it hovered, projecting a complex series of equations and diagrams. "We've done it, Sarah. The quantum entanglement drive is ready for field testing." Chen leaned forward, her eyes widening as she took in the implications. The quantum entanglement drive was humanity's ace in the hole, a propulsion system that would allow their ships to traverse vast distances instantaneously, without the need for traditional FTL travel or jump points. If it worked as designed, it would give humanity an unprecedented tactical advantage. "How soon can we integrate it into our fleet?" Chen asked, her mind already racing with possibilities. Frost's grin widened. "That's the beauty of it. We've designed it as a modular system. We can start retrofitting our existing ships immediately, starting with the Resilient." Chen nodded, a rare smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "Excellent work, Aiden. Begin the integration process immediately. I want the Resilient ready for a test run within 48 hours. As Frost left to oversee the preparations, Chen turned her attention back to the intelligence report. The Council's overconfidence was a double-edged sword. While it meant they were unlikely to anticipate humanity's true capabilities, it also increased the likelihood of rash action on their part. Chen pulled up the secure communication channel to Fleet Admiral Javier Rodriguez, the mastermind behind humanity's secret military buildup. His weathered face appeared on the holographic display, lines of worry etched deeply around his eyes. "Sarah," he greeted her with a nod. "I take it you've reviewed the latest intel." "Yes, sir," Chen replied. "The Council's getting bolder. It's only a matter of time before they make a move." Rodriguez sighed, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair. "I agree. Our agents within the Council report increasing talk of reclaiming human space. They see us as easy pickings, a way to flex their muscles and remind the galaxy of their supposed supremacy. Little do they know, Chen said, a hint of steel in her voice. Indeed, Rodriguez replied, a grim smile playing across his features. How goes Project Lazarus? Chen's eyes lit up. Dr. Frost just informed me that the quantum entanglement drive is ready for testing. We're integrating it into the Resilient as we speak. Rodriguez's eyebrows shot up in surprise. Already? That's ahead of schedule. Well done, Captain. This could be the game changer we've been waiting for. As they discussed the finer points of humanity's battle readiness, Chen couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and dread. The coming conflict would reshape the galaxy, but at what cost? How many lives would be lost before the Council learned that humanity was not to be trifled with? Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. Chen's first officer, Commander Yuki Tanaka, appeared on a separate channel, her usually calm demeanor visibly shaken. Captain, Admiral, she said, her voice tight with tension. We've just received word from our deep space monitoring stations. A large Council fleet has crossed into the neutral zone. They're on a direct course for the Arcturus colony. Chen and Rodriguez exchanged a look of grim determination. The moment they had been preparing for had finally arrived. Sound the alert, Rodriguez ordered. Activate Protocol Omega. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. As alarms began to blare throughout the ship, Captain Chen stood, her posture rigid with resolve. We're ready, sir, she said, her voice steady and confident. The Council wants a war. We'll give them one they'll never forget. The pieces were set, the board prepared. As humanity's hidden fleets began to mobilize, the galaxy held its breath, unaware that it stood on the precipice of a conflict that would reshape the cosmic order. The Galactic Council, in its arrogance, had awoken a sleeping giant. Now they would face the full might of a humanity they had foolishly underestimated. The calm was over. The storm was about to begin. The Council's fatal mistake. High Counselor Zaxthor stood before the grand viewing window of the Galactic Council's flagship, the Celestial Hammer. His elongated fingers, each tipped with bioluminescent claws, were clasped behind his back as he gazed out at the assembled armada. Hundreds of ships, representing the combined might of a dozen alien races, hung in the void of space like a glittering constellation. Magnificent, isn't it? He said, his multifaceted eyes reflecting the cold light of distant stars. The most powerful fleet the Council has assembled in centuries, all to deal with a minor irritant. Ambassador Lyrina of the Sylphoid Collective shifted uncomfortably beside him. Her translucent wings fluttered nervously, creating a soft humming sound in the pressurized chamber. High Counselor, are we certain this course of action is wise? The humans have proven unpredictable in the past. Zaxthor waved a dismissive hand, his scales shimmering with disdain. Your concern is noted, Ambassador, but unnecessary. Our intelligence reports confirm that the humans have grown soft and complacent. They huddle within their meager territories, content to stagnate while the rest of the galaxy progresses. He turned to face Lyrina, his voice taking on a patronizing tone. You weren't there during the last conflict, were you? A fluke, nothing more. The humans caught us off guard with their primitive tenacity, but we've learned from that mistake. This time, we come prepared. As if to emphasize his point, a holographic display materialized in the center of the room, showing a detailed map of human-controlled space. Various sectors blinked red, indicating primary targets for the invasion force. We strike simultaneously across multiple fronts, Zaxthor explained, his claws dancing across the display. Overwhelm their defenses before they can even comprehend what's happening. By the time their antiquated communication networks alert their central command, it will be far too late. Lyrina studied the battle plan, her compound eyes taking in every detail. Despite the High Counselor's confidence, she couldn't shake a feeling of unease. And what of the neutral zones? Surely our incursion will not go unnoticed by other galactic powers. Zaxthor's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. By the time anyone can mount a meaningful response, we'll have subjugated the humans and established our dominion over their territories. The rest of the galaxy will fall in line, as they always do. As the invasion fleet began to move into position, tension rippled through the ranks of the Council forces. For many of the younger soldiers, this would be their first taste of real combat. They had grown up on stories of the Council's might, of the inevitability of their victory against any who would stand against them. On the bridge of the Celestial Hammer, Fleet Commander Vexcor ran final checks on their battle systems. His tentacles worked multiple control interfaces simultaneously, a dizzying display of efficiency. "All ships report ready, High Counselor," Vexcor announced. "We await your command to commence the attack." Zaxthor's eyes glittered with anticipation. "Excellent. Commence Operation Starfall. Let us remind these humans of their proper place in the cosmic order." As one, the massive fleet surged forward, crossing the invisible line that marked the border of human space. For a moment, all was quiet. Then chaos erupted. The first wave of Council ships descended upon the outermost human colonies, expecting to find meager defenses and panicked populations. Instead, they were met with a level of resistance that caught them completely off guard. On New Eden, the fourth planet in the Arcturus system, Colonel Elena Vasquez stood in the control center of what appeared to be a simple agricultural colony. As alarms blare and holographic displays lit up with incoming enemy signatures, she allowed herself a grim smile. "Looks like the Council took the bait," she muttered, before raising her voice to address her team. "All right, people, this is what we've been training for. Activate the planetary shield and bring our defense grid online. Let's give these arrogant bastards a warm welcome." As the Council ships entered the atmosphere, preparing to launch ground invasion forces, they were suddenly met with a barrage of energy weapons fire from hidden emplacements across the planet's surface. Powerful shield generators, far beyond what the Council believed humans capable of producing, sprang to life, forming an impenetrable dome over key population centers. Similar scenes played out across human space. What the Council had believed to be vulnerable outposts and defenseless colonies revealed themselves to be heavily fortified strongholds, bristling with advanced weaponry, and protected by shields that shrugged off the invaders' most powerful attacks. Back on the Celestial Hammer, pandemonium reigned. Vexcor's tentacles flew across control panels as he tried to make sense of the flood of incoming data. "High Counselor, we're receiving distress calls from all fronts. The humans, they were prepared for us." Zaxthor's confident demeanor crumbled as he watched the holographic display light up with reports of heavy losses and failed landing attempts. "Impossible," he hissed. "How could they have hidden such defenses from our surveillance?" As if in answer to his question, a new alert sounded. Vexcor's eyes widened in disbelief as he processed the information. "Sir, we're detecting multiple signals emerging from nowhere. Human ships, hundreds of them, appearing out of empty space." On the bridge of the TSS Resilient, Captain Sarah Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction as she watched the Council fleet scramble to respond to their sudden appearance. The quantum entanglement drive had worked perfectly, allowing the human counterattack force to materialize precisely where they were needed most. "All ships, this is Captain Chen," she broadcast across the human fleet. "The Council wanted a war. Let's oblige them. Fire at will." The space around the embattled Council invasion force erupted in a dazzling display of advanced human weaponry. Plasma lances cut through alien shields like tissue paper, while gravitic torpedoes created localized singularities that tore enemy ships apart at the atomic level. In the span of mere minutes, the tide of battle had shifted dramatically. The Council forces, caught between the hammer of the human fleet and the anvil of the colony defenses, found themselves in complete disarray. Ambassador Lyrina turned to Zaxthor, her wings vibrating with a mixture of fear and anger. "You fool," she hissed. "Your arrogance has doomed us all." The humans were never weak. They were waiting for us to make exactly this mistake. As the battle raged around them, High Counselor Zax Thor could only watch in stunned silence as his grand invasion plan crumbled before his eyes. The humans, far from being the easy conquest he had envisioned, had revealed themselves to be a slumbering giant, now fully awake and ready for war. In command centers across human space, military leaders who had spent years preparing in secret now sprang into action. The full might of humanity's hidden technological advancements was brought to bear, turning what the Council had intended to be a swift subjugation into a fight for their very survival. As reports of Council defeats flooded in from all sectors, Captain Chen turned to her crew, her eyes blazing with determination. "This is just the beginning," she declared. "We've bloodied their nose, but the real fight is yet to come. Prepare for Phase 2 of the operation. It's time to take the war to their doorstep." The quantum entanglement drive hummed to life once more, preparing to propel the human fleet into the heart of Council space. The galaxy watched in awe as humanity, long dismissed as a minor player in cosmic affairs, began to reveal its true potential. The Council's fatal mistake had ignited a conflict that would reshape the balance of power throughout the known universe. And humanity, forged in the crucible of adversity and driven by an indomitable spirit, was ready to claim its place among the stars. Humanity strikes back. The quantum entanglement drive of the TSS Resilient pulsed with ethereal energy, tearing a hole in the fabric of spacetime. In an instant, Captain Sarah Chen and her fleet materialized in the heart of Council space, catching the alien forces completely off guard. "Status report," Chen barked, her eyes scanning the tactical holodisplay that dominated the bridge. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel's fingers danced across his console. "All ships present and accounted for, Captain. Minimal spatial distortion from the jump. We emerged exactly where we intended, on the doorstep of Centauri Prime." Centauri Prime, the crown jewel of the Galactic Council's domain, hung in space before them. Its gleaming towers and orbital habitats, once symbols of the Council's supremacy, now looked painfully vulnerable. Chen allowed herself a grim smile. "Excellent. Commence Operation Thunderbolt. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate humanity." Across the human fleet, soldiers and crew members who had spent years training in secret now sprang into action. Sleek fighters poured from the hangar bays of capital ships, while ground assault dropships prepared for atmospheric entry. On Centauri Prime, panic spread like wildfire. The planet's defenses, formidable as they were, had been designed to repel attacks from known vectors, not to deal with an enemy that could appear without warning at the heart of their empire. High Counselor Zax Thor, who had barely escaped the disastrous invasion of human space, now found himself trapped in the Council's central citadel. Alarms blared as reports of human forces landing across the planet flooded in. "How is this possible?" he raged, his scales flashing colors of fear and anger. "Their technology. It defies all known laws of physics." Ambassador Lyerna, who had remained by his side despite her earlier misgivings, spoke up. "Perhaps, High Counselor, it is time we considered the possibility that we have gravely underestimated the humans. They are clearly not the primitive species we believe them to be." Before Zax Thor could respond, the citadel shook with the impact of a nearby explosion. A harried ape burst into the chamber, his exoskeleton cracked and smoking. "High Counselor, human forces have breached the outer defenses. They're everywhere." Indeed, across Centauri Prime, scenes of chaos unfolded as humanity's troops deployed their advanced weaponry. Powered armor suits, equipped with personal shield generators and plasma weaponry, allowed human soldiers to go toe-to-toe with the Council's most fearsome warriors. In orbit, the space battle raged with equal intensity. The human fleet, though outnumbered, displayed tactical prowess that left their opponents reeling. Ships equipped with the quantum entanglement drive performed impossible maneuvers, blinking in and out of existence to deliver devastating blows before vanishing again. Aboard the TSS Resilient, Captain Chen coordinated the assault with cold efficiency. Target their command and control centers, she ordered. Disrupt their communications. I want them blind, deaf, and disorganized. As if to underscore her words, a massive human dreadnought suddenly appeared in low orbit, its main cannon charging with ominous energy. The weapon fired, sending a lance of pure destruction that carved through Centauri Prime's planetary shield and struck the Council's primary communications array. In an instant, the complex that had coordinated the Council's galactic empire for centuries was reduced to molten slag. On the ground, Colonel Elena Vasquez led a strike team through the winding corridors of the Council's citadel. Her powered armor hummed with energy, sensors feeding her real-time data on enemy positions and structural weaknesses. Remember, people, she called out to her squad, we're not here for wholesale slaughter. Our primary objective is to capture key Council members and secure their data networks. The galaxy needs to see that we're better than they are. As they fought their way deeper into the citadel, Vasquez couldn't help but reflect on the irony of the situation. For years, humanity had been dismissed as a footnote in galactic history. Now, they were rewriting that history with every step they took. In a secure bunker deep beneath the citadel, Dr. Aiden Frost worked feverishly to hack into the Council's central database. His fingers flew across holographic interfaces, his enhanced neural implants allowing him to process information at superhuman speeds. Eureka! He exclaimed suddenly, causing the security team guarding him to jump. I'm in. Downloading their entire archive now. Star charts, weapon schematics, biological data on every known species. It's all ours. As the data streamed into secure human servers, the true scope of the Council's hypocrisy began to unfold. Evidence of suppressed technologies, manipulated economies, and even genocidal plots against lesser species painted a damning picture of an empire built on lies and oppression. Back in orbit, Captain Chen received the signal she had been waiting for. Ground team has secured the primary objectives, she announced to her crew. Prepare for Phase 3 of the operation. With practiced precision, the human fleet began to disengage from the battle. Ships winked out of existence, only to reappear at predetermined rally points across Council space. As they withdrew, they left behind quantum beacons, devices that would allow them to return instantly should the need arise. On Centauri Prime, Colonel Vasquez and her team finally breached the inner sanctum of the Council chambers. There, they found High Counselor Zax Thor and the remaining Council members huddled in fear. Vasquez's voice, amplified by her armor's speakers, rang out in the cavernous room. By the authority vested in me by the United Earth Government, I hereby place you under arrest for crimes against sentient beings. As Zax Thor was led away in energy shackles, Ambassador Lyrina approached Vasquez. What happens now? She asked, her wings drooping with exhaustion and defeat. Vasquez retracted her helmet, revealing a face etched with determination, but not cruelty. Now, Ambassador, we rebuild. But this time, we do it right. No more empires, no more suppression of lesser species. It's time for a true galactic community, one where every sentient being has a voice. As word of the Council's fall spread across the galaxy, reactions ranged from jubilation to terror. Species long oppressed by Council rule saw an opportunity for freedom, while former Council allies scrambled to realign themselves with the emerging human-led coalition. Aboard the TSS Resilient, Captain Chen allowed herself a moment of reflection as she watched the last of her fleet jump to safety. The battle was won, but the war, the true war for the soul of the galaxy, was just beginning. Send word to Earth, she instructed her communications officer. Operation Thunderbolt was a success. We've struck the match. Now it's time to light the way forward. As the quantum entanglement drive hummed to life once more, Chen couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and trepidation. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, shattering the chains of oppression that had bound so many for so long. But with great power came great responsibility, and the eyes of countless alien species now looked to Earth for leadership. The next chapter in galactic history was about to be written, and humanity would be holding the pen. The stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if in anticipation of the new era dawning across the cosmos. The turning of the tide. The fall of Centauri Prime sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. As news spread of the Galactic Council's defeat, the carefully maintained facade of their invincibility crumbled. Across 1,000 worlds, oppressed species who had long suffered under Council rule began to rise up, emboldened by humanity's example. On Earth, the United Earth Government convened an emergency session to address the rapidly evolving galactic situation. The Grand Chamber of the Global Senate buzzed with tension and excitement as representatives from every nation and colony gathered to chart the course of humanity's future. President Adoran Mosu stood at the podium, her regal bearing a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding on the holoscreens behind her. "My fellow citizens of Earth and her colonies," she began, her voice carrying the weight of history, "we stand at a crossroads. The galaxy we knew has changed forever, and we find ourselves at its center." As she spoke, images flashed across the screens. Human ships engaging in skirmishes with remnants of the Council fleet, newly liberated worlds celebrating their freedom, and delegations from a dozen alien species arriving on Earth to seek alliance and protection. "We did not seek this war," Nuosu continued, her eyes sweeping across the assembly. "But neither will we shrink from the responsibility that victory has thrust upon us. The Galactic Council's reign of tyranny is over. In its place, we must forge a new order, one built on the principles of freedom, equality, and mutual respect for all sentient beings." The chamber erupted in applause, but Mosu raised a hand for silence. "However, our work is far from done. Even now, loyalist factions of the old Council rally their forces. They will not relinquish their power without a fight. We must be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead." As if to underscore her words, an urgent message flashed across her private datapad. Nwosu's eyes widened slightly, but she maintained her composure as she concluded her address. "I call upon every citizen of Earth and her colonies to stand ready. The next phase of this conflict will determine not just our fate, but that of countless species across the stars. Together, we will build a better future for all." As the session adjourned, Nwosu hurried to a secure briefing room, where Fleet Admiral Javier Rodriguez awaited her. His face, displayed on a large holoscreen, was grim. "Madam President," he began without preamble, "we've received intelligence that a coalition of Council loyalist forces is massing in the Orion Arm. They're calling themselves the Galactic Preservation Front." Nwosu's brow furrowed. "How bad is it, Admiral?" Rodriguez's image was replaced by a tactical display of the Orion Arm. Red icons representing enemy forces clustered around key strategic points. "They've managed to rally a significant portion of the old Council military, along with several client species who fear losing their privileged status. Our estimates put their fleet strength at nearly double what we faced at Centauri Prime." "And their target?" Nwosu asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. "Earth," Rodriguez confirmed. "They mean to strike at the heart of humanity, to crush us before we can consolidate our position in the galaxy." Nwosu's jaw set in determination. "Then we'll have to disappoint them, won't we? What assets do we have in the region?" As Rodriguez began to detail the disposition of human forces, the scene shifted to the far reaches of the Orion Arm. There, aboard the massive dreadnought Immortal Vengeance, Grand Admiral Zex Kaloth of the Galactic Preservation Front surveyed his assembled armada. Zex Kaloth was a fearsome sight to behold. A veteran of 100 campaigns, his cybernetically enhanced body bore the scars of countless battles. His singular eye, the other replaced by an advanced targeting system, gleamed with malice as he addressed his war council. "The humans have grown overconfident," he growled, his voice a harsh synthetic rasp. "They believe their victory at Centauri Prime has won them the war. We will show them the folly of their arrogance." Holographic displays sprang to life around the war room, showing the planned invasion route to the Sol system. Our fleets will strike simultaneously across multiple sectors, overwhelming their defenses before their accursed quantum drives can respond. We will burn their worlds, shatter their colonies, and remind the galaxy why the Council has ruled for 10,000 years. A cheer went up from the assembled commanders, a cacophony of alien voices united in their desire for revenge. But not all were convinced. A Salphoid commander, her gossamer wings twitching nervously, spoke up. "But Grand Admiral, what of the reports of other species joining the human cause? There are rumors of Arxer battle groups and even Vrok-Hive fleets pledging allegiance to Earth." Zexkaloth's cybernetic eye whirred as it focused on the Sylphoid. "Let them come," he snarled. "It will save us the trouble of hunting them down later. No coalition of misfits and outcasts can stand against the full might of the Preservation Front." As the War Council concluded and the commanders returned to their ships, alarms suddenly blared throughout the Immortal Vengeance. Zexkaloth rushed to the bridge, his augmented legs carrying him at inhuman speed. "Report," he bellowed as he burst onto the command deck. His tactical officer, a multi-limbed Kulian, worked feverishly at his station. "Multiple quantum signatures detected, sir. Human ships, appearing throughout the fleet." Zexkaloth's organic eye widened in disbelief. "Impossible. How could they have known?" His words were cut short as space itself seemed to tear open. Where moments before there had been empty void, now human warships materialized in perfect attack formation. At their head was the TSS Resilient, its quantum drive pulsing with otherworldly energy. On the Resilience bridge, Captain Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Send word to all ships," she ordered. "Commence Operation Broken Crown." Across the Orion Arm, similar scenes played out as human task forces appeared in the midst of Preservation Front formations. The element of surprise, combined with humanity's advanced technology, allowed them to wreak havoc on the enemy fleet before they could mount an effective response. But the Preservation Front was not so easily defeated. As the initial shock wore off, they brought their superior numbers to bear. Space lit up with the fury of thousands of ships exchanging fire, energy weapons, and gravitic torpedoes crisscrossing the void in a deadly dance. On a dozen worlds, ground battles raged as both sides fought for control of key strategic assets. Human Marines in powered armor clashed with Council loyalist forces, the fate of entire planets hanging in the balance. In the skies above New Eden, the planet where the Council's initial invasion had been repelled, Colonel Elena Vasquez led a squadron of advanced fighters against a Preservation Front carrier group. Her neural link with her craft allowed her to pull off maneuvers that would have killed an unaugmented pilot, weaving through enemy fire with inhuman precision. "Echo Squad, form up on me," she commanded as they approached the enemy flagship. "We're punching a hole for the Arxer boarding parties. Let's show our new allies what humanity can do." As Vasquez and her team engaged the carrier's point defense systems, a massive Arxer warship emerged from quantum space. Its biomechanical hull bristled with weapon emplacements and launch bays, disgorging swarms of boarding craft that streaked towards the Council vessel. The battle raged for hours, then days. Across the Orion Arm, the galaxy watched in awe as humanity and its allies fought with a ferocity and skill that belied their relative youth on the galactic stage. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. The Preservation Front's numerical advantage was whittled away by superior tactics and technology. One by one, key systems fell to the human-led coalition. Back on the Immortal Vengeance, now scared and venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches, Grand Admiral Zexkaloth watched in disbelief as his grand invasion plan crumbled around him. "This isn't possible," he muttered, his cybernetic implants sparking from damage sustained in the battle. "We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled for millennia. We cannot be defeated by these upstarts." As if in answer to his denial, a quantum rift opened directly in front of his flagship. The TSS Resilient emerged, its main cannon glowing with barely contained energy. Captain Chen's voice crackled over the Immortal Vengeance's comm systems. "Grand Admiral Zexkaloth, in the name of the United Earth Government and the Free Galactic Alliance, I call upon you to surrender. This war is over." As Zexkaloth stared at the human ship, he saw not just his own defeat, but the end of an era. The Galactic Council's reign, which had seemed eternal and unassailable, had been brought low in a matter of weeks by a species they had dismissed as primitive. With trembling hands, the once proud admiral opened a channel to his fleet. "All ships," he said, his voice heavy with the weight of history, "stand down. The war is lost." Across the Orion Arm, weapons fell silent. Ships powered down their combat systems. On 100 worlds, Council loyalist forces laid down their arms. As the TSS Resilient moved to dock with the immortal Vengeance, Captain Chen turned to her crew. "Send word to Earth," she said, her voice filled with quiet pride. "The Orion Arm is secured. The galaxy is entering a new age." The Great Galactic War was over, but the work of building a new, more just order was just beginning. Humanity, so recently dismissed as an insignificant species on the fringes of known space, now found itself at the center of a transforming galaxy. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, heralding the dawn of a new era of peace, cooperation, and exploration. A new galactic order. The great hall of the newly established Galactic Concordat buzzed with activity. Representatives from hundreds of species, many of whom had been bitter enemies mere months ago, now gathered under one roof. The massive chamber, a marvel of Sino-architecture, floated in high orbit above Earth, a neutral ground and symbol of the new era dawning across the stars. At the center of it all stood President Adoran Mosu of Earth, her presence commanding respect from even the most alien of dignitaries. Beside her, Captain Sarah Chen and Colonel Elena Vasquez stood at attention. Heroes of the war now turned architects of peace. Friends, allies, and fellow sentients. Numosu began, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall through a mixture of advanced acoustics and telepathic amplifiers. "We stand here today, not as conquerors, but as partners in a grand endeavor. The old Galactic Council sought to rule through fear and oppression. We propose a different path, one of cooperation, mutual respect, and shared progress." As she spoke, holographic displays sprang to life around the chamber, showcasing the proposed structure of the new Galactic Concordat. Gone was the hierarchical system that had placed some species above others. In its place, a web of interconnected relationships and responsibilities spread out before the assembled delegates. The quantum entanglement technology that gave us victory in war will now become the foundation of a new age of peace and prosperity, Numosu continued. No longer will distance be a barrier between worlds. No longer will any voice go unheard in the grand chorus of galactic civilization. Among the audience, Ambassador Larina of the Sylphoid Collective nodded approvingly. Her people, long relegated to second-class status under the old council, now saw a future where their unique abilities and perspective would be valued. Beside her, a delegation of Arxer warriors stood tall, their fearsome appearance belying the newfound sense of purpose they had discovered in alliance with humanity. But not all were convinced. Zexkaloth, the former Grand Admiral of the defeated Preservation Front, now stood as a representative of those who still clung to the old ways. His cybernetic eye weird as he surveyed the chamber, distrust evident in his organic one. "Pretty words," he growled, his voice carrying a challenge. "But how can we trust that humanity won't simply replace the Council as the new tyrants of the galaxy? Power corrupts, as your own species is fond of saying." A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. It was the question that had been on many minds, even if few had dared to voice it so bluntly. President Mosu smiled, having anticipated this very concern. "A fair question, Admiral Zexkaloth, and one that we have given great thought to." She gestured to Captain Chen, who stepped forward. "If I may," Chen began, her voice steady and clear. "Throughout our history, humanity has grappled with the corrupting influence of power. We've seen empires rise and fall, democracies teeter on the brink of authoritarianism. But we've also learned valuable lessons." She tapped a control on her wrist, and new holographic displays sprang to life. They showed schematics for a vast network of quantum entanglement nodes spreading out across the galaxy like a web. What you see before you is the framework for the Galactic Oversight Network, Chen explained. A system that will ensure transparency and accountability for all member species of the Concordat, humanity included. Dr. Aidan Frost, the brilliant scientist behind much of Earth's technological leap, took over the explanation. The network will allow for real-time communication and information sharing between all member worlds. Any attempt to abuse power or infringe upon the rights of others will be immediately visible to all. Furthermore, the quantum nature of the system makes it virtually tamper-proof. As Frost delved into the technical details, many of the more scientifically minded delegates leaned forward in fascination. Even Zexkaloth seemed grudgingly impressed. Colonel Vasquez stepped up next, her battle-hardened demeanor softened by a look of genuine hope. But technology alone isn't enough. That's why we're proposing the establishment of the Concordat Peacekeeping Force, a multi-species organization dedicated to maintaining stability and responding to crises across the galaxy. She gestured to the Arxer delegation. Our allies have already pledged their support. The Arxer's martial prowess, combined with the strategic minds of a dozen other species, will create a force capable of addressing threats both internal and external. As the presentation continued, detailing plans for economic cooperation, scientific exchange, and cultural preservation, the mood in the chamber began to shift. Skepticism gave way to cautious optimism, then to genuine excitement. Ambassador Lyrna's wings fluttered as she addressed the assembly. For too long, the Sylphoid Collective was told our ways were primitive, our philosophies unworthy of consideration. Yet here, today, I see a future where every voice is heard, where diversity is celebrated rather than suppressed. On behalf of my people, I pledge our full support to the Galactic Concordat. One by one, representatives from across the galaxy stood to voice their approval. Even Zexkaloth, after a long moment of internal struggle, gave a curt nod. The Preservation Front will observe these proceedings with interest, he grumbled, which from him was tantamount to a ringing endorsement. As the session drew to a close, President Mosu raised her hands for silence. My friends, what we have begun here today is nothing short of revolutionary. We have taken the first steps towards a truly united galaxy, but our work is far from over. She turned, gesturing out the vast windows to the starfield beyond. Out there lie countless worlds yet unexplored, civilizations yet to be contacted. We stand on the brink of a new age of discovery and cooperation. Together, we will forge a future brighter than any single species could achieve alone. The chamber erupted in applause, a cacophony of alien sounds united in shared purpose. As the delegates began to mingle, discussing the finer points of the proposed Concordat, Captain Chen found a quiet moment with Colonel Vasquez and Dr. Frost. Well, Chen said with a wry smile, I'd say that went about as well as we could have hoped. Vasquez nodded, her eyes scanning the room out of habit. It's a good start, but we'll need to remain vigilant. Old hatreds don't disappear overnight. Frost's eyes gleamed with excitement. True, but think of the possibilities. The combined scientific knowledge of 100 species, all working together. We're on the cusp of advancements we can scarcely imagine. As they talked, a group of young aliens, a mix of species that would have been unthinkable mere months ago, approached them shyly. A small vrock, its exoskeleton shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, spoke up. Excuse me, heroes of Earth. We wanted to thank you. Because of you, we have a future to look forward to. Chen knelt down, bringing herself to eye level with the young alien. The future belongs to all of us now, little one, and it's going to be amazing. As night fell on Earth, news of the Galactic Concordat's formation spread across the stars at quantum speeds. On countless worlds, beings of all shapes and sizes looked to the skies with new wonder and hope. The age of isolation and fear was over. A new chapter in galactic history had begun, with humanity and its allies leading the way into a brighter tomorrow. In orbit high above, the TSS Resilient prepared for its next mission, not one of war, but of exploration and diplomacy. Captain Chen stood on the bridge, gazing out at the vast expanse of space that now seemed more full of promise than ever before. "Helm," she said, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth, "set a course for the unknown. We've got a galaxy to explore." As the quantum drive hummed to life, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Humanity had not only survived its trial by fire, but had emerged as a beacon of hope for countless species. The future was uncertain, full of challenges yet to be faced. But for the first time in galactic history, it was a future that would be shaped by the combined efforts of all sentient beings working together in harmony. The stars beckoned, and humanity, along with its new allies, answered the call. The greatest adventure in the history of the cosmos had only just begun.